Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio podcast. I am your engineer and apparently podcast mom, Kate. And joining me this week is Brandon.
Mother.
That is no. I was trying to call you guys out for like 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah, I figured.
That I'd been holding on to for a while, but no.
And you immediately regretted it.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm just full of regret. Kestrel's here.
I'm here.
Mark's here.
Hey.
He's dead.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say something, but then you guys ruined it so bad for me, and I didn't want him to have to suffer the daddy jokes. And Kane is here.
I'm used to being the old man in the room. It's fine.
Hey, mommy.
Oh no, this is all bad. You
did
bad.
This.
You guys did it for. You were the one. Okay. Anyway, anywho, we're here to talk about the spring 2026 anime winter 2026.
Winter.
We're still in winter. It is very.
It is snowing today here.
It is 8 degrees here today. And we are going to talk about anime. Do we have any news to talk about?
Yeah, I got a few things that were worth talking about.
Is it the Gundam cast for the Netflix movie?
I almost put that on there. I almost put that on there. Okay, we can talk about
number
that
1, baby.
Right, yeah. All right. I'll add that in while we're talking about the other ones. Okay, so first piece of news, on New Year's Eve, Kaguya-sama had a new special, which people suspected, based on some of the pre-release material, that it would be skipping a lot of the manga, and indeed it did. They announced when it was released that there would be just one more installment of the Kaguya-sama anime in the form of a feature film, and it would be completely anime original. So, very bizarre after sticking very closely to the manga for 3 seasons. It's going to be written by the mangaka, but yeah, super weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I guess it just wasn't pulling in numbers or interest or money or
it seemed very popular and successful.
I mean,
would it get 3 seasons and a movie if it wasn't?
Right.
I mean, maybe interest fell off since then. Who knows? Weird.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think I'm outside of a circle that would talk about it, but I have heard nothing about it since the series stopped.
So. Yeah, I mean, this 2-episode essentially special was the first Kaguya-sama material we've gotten since 2022. And the manga's been over since, I think, before then. So, yeah, there hasn't been much content, but it's just weird. I mean, all my friends watch it and talked about it, but yeah, I don't know how popular it is in the grand scheme. It seemed like it was pretty big in Japan, but it's possible that they just didn't think the latter half of the story had as much episodic appeal, because kind of the big turning point happens at the end of the previous material that was all very faithfully adapted.
Yeah, I can see that being the reason. It's like the Usagi drop of it all. It's like, all right, we gave you all the good stuff.
All right, we're stopping this conversation.
Just stop here. Terrible example, but it's the one that came to mind.
It's like, and nothing after that exists. Goodbye.
Yep.
Good night, everyone.
Exactly. I literally just said this to my friends like a few days ago. Like, Usagi Drop is an 11-episode original anime series. That's all it has ever been. That's all it will ever be. Yeah. So, anyway. Do none of you guys watch the series?
No, didn't care.
This is such a Mark show.
Yeah, no, it's on my list, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Like so many things.
Wait, Kaguya or Usagi Drop?
Kaguya, sorry.
Kaguya.
I watched the series. I didn't watch anything after season 3.
Okay. Well,
if I recall, I tried. If you recall, I tried.
Yes, I recall. Yeah, I mean, after that, it's just the movie, which was then split into 4 episodes, and then this special, which was then split into 2 episodes. So almost certainly the final movie will be split into another 4 episodes or something.
Okay. Maybe I'll do a big final catch up when it's done.
Yeah. I'll let you know if the ending is terrible.
Great.
How was the ending for the manga? Maybe that was the issue.
See, that's the thing, is that I heard fairly positive things about the ending of that manga. Now, this is the same writer who also wrote Oshinoko, and I heard terrible things about the ending of that manga.
Yeah.
So you'd think that that would be the one that they'd try to come up with an anime original ending to. And also, if people liked his ending for Kaguya-sama and didn't like the only other ending he's written, why are they making him write a different ending to the one thing he ended correctly?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Hopefully it's good.
Well, is it that they are making him rewrite it,
Or
or
he wants to, or he wants to.
He wants to. Yeah.
Right. Probably
Terrifying.
that. Yeah.
Watch him ruin it.
We'll see. Other piece of news. Couple pieces of news out of this Dragon Ball event that happened called Genki Damatsuri, which was, teased to announce some big new Dragon Ball news. Of course, Akira Toriyama passed away almost 2 years ago now. Daimo was
Has it been that long?
2 years?
11 months, yeah.
What is time?
Or a year and 11 months, rather. Yes, so Daimo was kind of the last thing that he really worked on, and that ended, I think, like 1 year after his death exactly, or within a day of it, so a little under a year ago. And, we've been wondering, of course, there will be more Dragon Ball eventually. How soon will it come? How soon will we get to completely un-Toriyama content? But for those of you who know anything about the Dragon Ball Super manga, you might know that, in fact, there were several arcs of the Dragon Ball Super manga that continued past the point of the TV series and the Broly movie before the arc of the manga that coincided with the story of the other movie, Superhero. So there's 2 or 3 arcs in the middle of those chronologically that had not been showcased as anime. Typically, the other arcs were anime first and then put in the manga, but these ones were, in the manga. So that's stuff that Toriyama worked on with the mangaka Toyotaro. And so they announced, the big announcement was, yes, the Dragon Ball Super anime is coming back. The name hasn't been used for anime since Superhero in 2022. It hasn't been a TV series since 2018. And it's coming back. There's going to be a new arc adapting the Galactic Patrol arc of the manga, which was the next one after basically Tournament of Power. They did a panel for the Broly fight. But it's the next one chronologically, so it takes place well before Superhero. And that's coming sometime probably next year, 2027. What's coming first is they are starting back up the new Dragon Ball Super anime with a series called Dragon Ball Super Beerus in fall 2026, which will be an enhanced edition of the Beerus arc that began the Dragon Ball Super anime TV series. Now, you might be thinking, wasn't that arc of Super already a remake of the Battle of Gods movie that came out 2 years prior? And you'd be correct. So this is the fourth, if you count the manga adaptation, version of this series in a 13-year span, of the story, rather. And it appears to be more like... So kind of, Toei started this formula with Dragon Ball Kai, and then kind of leveled it up with the One Piece Fishman Island arc. This seems to be like a slight level above that, where they're going to cut it down, they're going to enhance the visuals and audio and everything a lot, re-record the lines, maybe add some new material. But yeah, that's basically the plan for now. They haven't officially announced anything else, but if they're planning to make it really short at the end of this year and then do the new arc sometime next year, it would be reasonable to think that they might do the same for all of the super arcs. Now that Toei is a studio that makes good anime, which they largely were not when they were making Super. And it was a very hasty production, to say the least. So we might get all of Super kind of remade, remastered in this form, leading into the actual new arc of Galactic Patrol sometime probably next year.
Well, I
Okay.
am excited for Galactic Patrol, if only because I'm contractually obligated to do so. The Beerus stuff, I guess, is it's fine. It's like that first arc there of Super did look like cold ass dog shit. So
I actually didn't watch Super because of it. Like
Right.
I was like I couldn't.
Yeah. I think they're aware of that, and that's why they're doing this, because they're like, we need to bring Super back, but we want people to actually watch it. So, yeah, let's make it watchable this time around.
yeah, I mean, which wouldn't be a problem if the movie didn't exist. Like, you could just watch the movie.
Right.
And that
But
has,
there are slight things they changed that make the movie not canon to the rest of Super. Same thing with the Frieza one.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'd rather them do that. I don't know. It's a kind of thing where it's like, is it better for them to be like milking Super dry constantly, or going all the way back and like redoing OG Dragon Ball? Like, is that something I even want at this point? I don't know.
I mean, I trust today's Toei to do that. I'd be
Yeah.
okay with Toei letting go. And I mean, which studio is redoing One Piece, even though that's a Toei
Yeah.
property that Toei is still actively making. So I'd be totally cool with the Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
More than I need a third Beerus remake in 13 years.
yeah, it feels like something I wish if they would have done it, depending on how long it's going to take them and how many episodes they're planning on making it, like farming it out. I'd be fine with if they really wanted to, like farm it out to someone who's good, and then you just focus on using your good skills to make new content, and then you can maybe do it that way. Because at least in my mind, depending on what their production schedule is, it's just delaying like new content that I wish I could be watching instead. Even if this looks better, it's like, yeah, but it's still not new, and this is just delaying the new. So
Well, I think the compromise is more that it's going to take them until next year to make Galactic Patrol and to make it look as good as Daima looked. And in the meantime, they're mostly going to be like applying filters and shit over the 2015 episodes. They're not really putting their staff to work from scratch. So I think that's why this kind of works for them.
You know, I never really
sharpen,
considered.
sharpen.
Yeah, I've never really considered a non-Toei Dragon Ball adaptation.
Mhm.
So hear me out. Original Dragon Ball remake by Saint Saru.
I was
like,
not expecting that.
Real
That-
cartoony with it, like real. I feel like that could be really cool. Just like they could really similar to like the new Ghost in the Shell coming out.
Right.
Just kind of like hone in on that like cartoony, more laid back vibe.
I mean,
It'd be
Dragon
fun.
Ball would be the one to do that with because it's definitely more adventure-y fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were gonna make it cartoony and Saturday morning fun times, then that would be the one to pick.
Yep. I'm just saying, manifesting a little. We'll see.
I thought you were
Dragon
gonna say
Ball.
JC's staff, and I was gonna laugh my ass off.
No. You know what we need? We need a Gohan's Dragon Ball.
Oh, God.
I think the world
No.
deserves that much.
I've always said give Madhouse and the Hunter x Hunter 2011 staff Dragon Ball.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a pipe dream.
These are all pipe dreams.
These are all pipe dreams. Let's be
But
honest.
if the One Piece ever happens, which we haven't gotten any word on for years, anything's possible. Because if Wit Studio can remake a Toei Animation flagship, no pun intended, while Toei Animation is still making it, anything's possible.
True.
Okay. Anything else on the old Dragon Balls?
My brother was really pissed off that the Dragon Ball Gotcha game didn't give him anything for the event or anybody, and he made sure to tell me about it. So there you go.
I'll be sure to speak to someone in charge.
Yeah, I think he called them Bandai Shaft Co. I hate this fucking game. Scam Co. was another one that he used.
Scam Co. That's good.
Yep. All right.
So pass that along.
Yep, will do. And since it was mentioned, sure, we'll talk about Gundam. I'm pretty sure this live-action Gundam movie was Netflix originally, and then they dropped it, and Legendary picked it up, and now Netflix is, getting streaming rights from Legendary for it again. But
Weird.
that's happening, apparently. Apparently, it is really going to star Sydney Sweeney and Noah Centineo.
I don't know who either.
All right.
I know who one of those people is. I don't know who the
I don't know who Noah Centineo is.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney is obviously the weird, interesting choice there. Who do you think she's gonna play?
I mean,
if they're going UC,
right? I mean, if they're going UC, she's Sayla and he's Amuro, right?
That's what you'd have to think. But man, it'd be funny if they were like, "No, you're gonna be Frabo." Actually,
yeah, that would be a good one. And and he's Camille. We don't actually know who the real boys are yet. They should make the heated rivalry guys as Amuro and Char.
My God, do it today. Take my money.
Do it.
That would be worth watching.
I didn't have much to say other than what a weird casting. This movie's gonna suck.
Let's just believe it won't actually happen like most of these.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I really wanted to say is I was surprised. I was surprised to just hear a casting announcement because it'd been so long, and normally these things die before you even get that far.
Yeah.
And then to see what the casting was even more of a shock.
I mean, remember we did get Keanu Reeves announced as Spike Spiegel for the live-action Cowboy Bebop film.
Oh my God.
Yeah, these things do happen, and then nothing. Yeah. It's not unheard of. People, get cast, drop out, things don't happen.
Yep, they get scrapped at all phases of production process. Akira has been assigned to like 12 directors at this point.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Tetsuo played by Finn Wolfhard.
I mean, we're practically at that point at this point, but ugh.
Another W on the board for Bad Guy Spam Co.
Yep, then nice. Boom. Yeah, I can't. I want it to be made, if only so that I can do because I'm gonna believe this movie is dog shit until the day it's released, but do like this with a double feature of Dragon Ball Evolution, then you have to compare them.
Oh yeah.
You really think it's gonna be that bad?
I don't have any reason to think it wouldn't be, other than it'll look a little better because technology's gotten better. But then they could rely so much on CGI that it actually ends up looking like a mess, like even worse. So
that is literally the lowest bar.
I feel like after One Piece, I can't write anything off anymore.
Exactly, yeah. One Piece was the least likely to succeed, and it was the best one.
Oh my God, that's soon. Right?
Yep.
Isn't that March?
Yep. March, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can hang your hat on that at least.
Hang your straw hat on it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, do we have any other news so
No,
we can
that was it.
not talk about this train wreck? Cool. Well then, yeah, let's head into the new season here. I know there was much hype around the return of several shows, and we have a good amount that all of us are watching together at this point. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to tackle the big dog in the room, so we might as well just get that off of our chest right away. And let's talk a little bit about the return of our girl Frieren. And I just want to start off by saying that I know I was skeptical last episode, but so far, I think it's delivering on the hype train personally. So I guess I gotta eat a little crow, because I know I don't know if it was on the recording last time or after we were done recording, but there was so much hype about this season and how it was going to change your life forever, blah blah blah, etc. etc. And obviously, I was like, it's setting yourself up for disappointment. But really, after watching these 3 episodes, it's like we're back in prime time Frieren zone, baby. This is like, for me, this is season 1, like early levels of how much I was enjoying it.
Yeah. It kind of felt pretty seamless going right back into it, which I will say I was a bit scared because of the slight staff changes.
Exactly.
I was definitely afraid of just not really the production changing too much, besides maybe just like a general vibe. And I was like, I hope it's not some kind of uncanny valley where it feels like it's trying to be Frieren and doesn't feel like Frieren. But thankfully, I mean, right from the jump, right from the first minute of episode 1, I'm like, I just like sink back into my chair and I'm like, oh wait, this feels really good.
Yeah,
we've had so many montages.
Right, I know. They've made sure every episode has at least one montage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so much of what made that adaptation so special and elevated it so much beyond the source material is just the atmosphere, and I attributed that primarily to the director, Keiichiro Saito, who also made Bocchi the Rock way better than it had any right to be. So when it was announced that he would no longer be the primary director, that was definitely my biggest point of concern. He is still working in a supervisory capacity, so the idea that they've put out there and seems to be working so far is that he's guiding the new main series director and new assistant director to kind of keep it consistent with the Frieren that he envisioned. And so far, seems to be working fine. Both of those other directors did work on season 1, just not as the overall series director. And also in episode 2 of this season, the puppet show was actually designed by Saito. He actually designed real puppets, and then they had a puppet company do the puppet show in live action, and then had the animators use that as reference. So yeah, he's still definitely active.
Beautifully puppeteered.
Right. You could tell that there's this level of reality to it, yeah.
I was curious, Kestrel, if you had any on-hand knowledge on... Because I did know that the new director had worked on previous episodes, but do you know if they have any tenure directing other series before this?
This is the first series directing job for either of the other 2 directors. Granted, the first season was only Saito's second job. He's literally only directed Bocchi and Frieren. That's how good he is. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's already a stacked resume.
I know.
Wow.
And then turned down the sequels to both of them, kind of.
It's honestly a boss move.
Yeah. But, I mean, if he can help guide Frieren to the next generation of directors and keep it feeling consistent, and then also go out and make something new instead of being locked into one series, and that new thing is just as good. I mean, not just as good, but on the level that makes it feel like, okay, yeah, this guy started with Bocchi and Frieren. This is a good 3rd series for him. Then that's awesome.
Yeah, all the power to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have not watched episode 3 yet, unfortunately. I did not get the time today, but first 2 episodes, were great. Peak stuff. lots of already good like extra world building with the hero of the South. I thought was like really cool. Little lore addition.
Yeah, I like how it's season 2 has already started adding more to the Rolodex of Frieren can name drop anyone at any time, essentially, because she just meets all of the people that are important in the world and then just dismisses most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally the most powerful guy of all time walks up to her and is like, join my party. No, okay. Well, the next pretty boy that comes here, you will join his party. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Like,
liked
I
him.
doubt it. He's like, oh, you'll see.
Yeah. I liked him, the hero of the South. As he was there in the second episode, part of me was like, I would watch a spin-off show about him. He's got a cool
Yeah.
mustache and 2 swords.
It was funny when they first approached the statue and it had a little mustache. I was like, is this some kind of like like Sanji's wanted poster type thing where it's like people like misremembering him all and what he looked like or something? But he was a different guy, so it didn't end up being that plot line. But for a second,
Yeah,
I like
I thought it
Stark's
was.
reaction to that.
Yeah.
so this
Got
is
it.
more episode 3 based, but it doesn't spoil anything for you, Brand. But what
Mhm.
I've liked about the second season, especially, and I think it's because it harkens back to the early days of the first season before we got into like the demon killing arc and the wizard test arc. Not that those are bad; those are also really great. Is you get to see a more like casual, playful side to Frieren that you didn't for a long time because she had to be a badass, mage person under various circumstances. And there's a really kind of cute little bit, Brand, in the third episode where Frieren talks about what her hissy fits are like.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's a really fun little piece of background on her that has nothing to do with like her skill as a mage or her travels in terms of like what was accomplished or anything. It's just she warns Stark about calling her old again and then tells him what will happen if he does it for a third time, and she just goes, my like fits are of like legendary status or something, and then they do a flashback to when she had one. And it's stuff like that I've been really enjoying, seeing the party like kind of mesh together again after they spent so much time in that first season and the second half of it just being in like constant turmoil of sorts and doing a lot of really important story things. Now they're just kind of back to, we're getting to our goal eventually. But we're back to just kind of wandering and getting to know each other and all sorts of stuff, which is really nice. Because those are my favorite parts, are the introspective kind of quiet moments. Not that the action is bad, and they've shoehorned that in along with the montages. Sometimes the montage and the action is one and the same.
Yeah, I mean, both of the first 2 episodes had very brief but spectacular action sequences. And then the third episode kind of builds up to what should be its big spectacular action sequence, and then it's deliberately very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Great.
Also, I love the Frieren look up meme that they put in the second episode.
Yes. I love that.
Oh,
That's so awesome.
I knew they would have to reference it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that they just did it like so blatantly. They're like, yep, this is what you look like. Boop. Exact same, like everything. It wasn't even like a subtle, she looks up when sitting at like a table at a cafe or something. It's almost the exact same pose and everything. So I thought that was very funny.
Congrats to that guy on Reddit.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh, that's gotta feel great. Speaking on what you were saying, Kane, about just like getting at those smaller moments of like seeing that side of Frieren. I do like that because we've gotten past the point of needing to like get her out of her shell, and crack that tough exterior that she like carried for a portion of the beginning of the show. It is nice that even from the jump of episode 1, when they're in that cave, it feels like it's supposed to be very high tension because it's like, oh, they have no magic. Like they are literally just sitting duck bags of meat, like these all-powerful sorcerers are literally useless right now, but the fact that she just like puts her full trust into her party and just like literally like sleeps through it is like I just love little moments like that. It's already, like you said, we're already in those like little just like seeing the comfort of the party right away again just like feels so good.
Yeah, well, she feels so confident in Stark to help them in a way that feels less, I don't know, forced is not the right word, but less coercive by Frieren, where she's trying to like tell him and he clearly is not feeling up to it, but she's just like, yeah, you got it, and then he does the thing and that's it. So, you know, they're getting to know each other and trust each other more. And granted, he still doesn't like want to do it necessarily, like the run thing, but he just scoops them up and goes. Also, he carries them both. So, strong.
Yeah, they really push that the frontliner thing. They're like, well, you're our frontliner, and he's like, well, I'm the frontliner. So
Yeah. A few things. One, his name literally means strong. Everyone's name in Frieren is just the German word for whatever word the author thought best described them. So his is literally just strong. But yeah, I like how, of course, like always, they have the flashback mirroring the current events and seeing how comfortably she kind of leapt into Himmel's arms in the same way of like, yep, this is your job right now. I'm just gonna be your princess for the moment. And then also in the second episode where you kind of see the growth of how much she values humans' efforts because of their short time spans. Whereas she has infinite time to do anything. She's like, okay, I didn't want to redo the same job that I did 80 years ago, but it would have wasted that time that Himmel dedicated to it if it was just undone. So I need to go put things back how they should be. And then in the third episode, yeah, the whole conversation between Frieren and Stark, I was like laughing out loud the majority of it. So yeah, agree with everything you guys have said. Love the character dynamics in the party, especially since, like, kind of what Kane was talking about, not only was the tone very different throughout the, Mage exam arc, but because it was a Mage exam, Stark wasn't in it very much, especially, interacting with the other two. So any material we get with him and with him in the party, especially now with Fern and him, it's definitely very welcome to see.
Yeah, I really love how Stark has his own and I can't remember if this show has highlighted this at all, whether like to him as the character or to us as the audience, like distinctly. But I love that Stark has his own like hero aura about him, where every town they go to, he's always playing with the kids.
Yeah.
And like that's something a hero would do. He's just playing with the kids and carrying them around, and he immediately kind of gets involved with the townspeople,
right.
And particularly the kids, which is exactly what you would expect out of someone who's like a hero for the people, like a Himmel or whatever.
Exactly.
Not that Frieren and Fern should or anything like that, but that's where they always put Stark. As he's in the back, the first thing he does is find some little scamp ne'er-do-wells and then just starts throwing them around.
Yeah, they definitely highlighted it in the Mage exam arc of the first season, where Frieren and Fern were off taking the exam and just left Stark by himself, didn't really expect him to do anything, and then they came back and just everyone in the village is like, oh, Stark. He's become like the most beloved national treasure of this community. In the few days that they were at this exam, they're like, how long have you been here? And then now every episode of this season, every time they hit a village, within like seconds, everyone in the village knows and loves him.
He's a lovable coward.
Yeah.
Yeah, even those moments too, where it's just like there he is playing with the kids once again. Stark making an emotional connection to a village full of strangers, like, and that's kind of like what Himmel did
Exactly.
and did was like he always talked to everyone in the village, and he would play with the kids and do tasks for people even if it wasn't befitting of someone who's trying to like kill this demon king. Like Stark will also just like carry your bushel of apples to your cart if you need it.
Yeah, and that was a big thing that was highlighted in the final episode of the first season as well, with Verbal's history with his village and how they talked about Himmel in the past. That, you know, they don't care that he went off to some far off land and killed the Demon King. They cared that he came and met them where they were and treated them just as important as the world-changing events he was involved in. And that's what makes a real hero. And that's what Stark has inherited unintentionally.
So you guys, I'm sure, were aware of the little bit of, even saying controversy is too strong, but the kind of redesigns of the characters.
I mean, yeah,
do you have any particular thoughts about any of those in particular? Because the only thing I honestly noticed is everybody's faces are a little rounder, and Frieren's got some like purple in her hair that she really didn't in the first season. They kind of took some of the silver out and made it purple down near the bottom of her ponytails and stuff. But other than that, I can notice like changes in the art in general, but that's just kind of for everything. I just know that there was like they've been redesigned, and on the subreddit and stuff, people were all like, ugh. But yeah, maybe I'm just a fucking pleb. So
the only major staff change, other than the directors that we mentioned, was the character designers. There was one character designer from the first season. She was completely replaced by 3 new ones for this season. And by the way, we didn't mention this, but the first season was 28 episodes. This season's only 10, so we're already almost a third of the way through. But yeah, it has. Yeah, I know. Whatever it takes to keep up the quality.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has 3 new character designers. Yeah, I agree. It looks mostly the same. I'm sure when we get new characters, they'll, obviously look different, but that's fine because they're new characters anyway. The existing characters, yeah, slight shape and color changes, but nothing too significant. Also, one of those 3 character designers is the character designer and original artist of Violet Evergarden, which is beautiful. Wow. So, yeah, I trust that artist.
Yeah, that's a big snag, honestly.
Especially since I totally am the composer of Violet Evergarden.
Yeah, true. I mean, as someone who forgot that role was even replaced, I didn't really take notice to the differences in the first 2 episodes, but yeah, I mean, they still very much, I feel like, are in line with their season 1 character designs, and like you said, maybe they'll get a little bit more maybe they'll go a little out there with some newer designs, since yeah, they will be new.
But I mean, like, the hero of the South more or less looked like Himmel with a mustache and a part in his hair. Like, yeah, they're very consistent with the style of the first season.
Yeah, they're not going like out of their way to make someone look exceedingly like different or like anime-y, so to speak, in this world that is generally grounded in their character designs. And then all of a sudden you're gonna get like Yami Yugi.
Like, who could be the stand user in this village?
But yeah, overall, super pleased with how it's turning out. The 10 episodes is a bummer, but I do agree with Kestrel. I'd rather get 10 episodes that look and sound really great and have good pacing and all sorts of stuff than them feeling like they're obligated to do 28 episodes and then we have varying levels of quality for something like this. I will do my best to be patient and understanding, even if I want more of it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, they can't really do too much more anyway, right? Isn't it the manga on hiatus, or
Yeah, it has been on a lot of hiatuses.
Yeah, it's been on hiatus for a while, so there's not. They're going to catch up if they try to go any faster or do more.
So yeah,
Interesting.
They're doing exactly what they should be, I think.
Yeah.
I think before we move on, the last thing I wanted to mention, and this is just semi-random, but I think one of the things I've liked the most about the montages when they're walking through is they do a lot of like weird close-up shots. I don't know if you've noticed that, where they'll do like far away shots of them like walking over a log, like very like zoomed out, and then they'll cut to almost like the frame is completely taken up by their face as it's going upwards, and then they'll just do all three of them like looking up and climbing. It really adds some nice dynamic to their montages where they're playing with different camera angles, like zoom levels, all sorts of things to make it so it's not just like here's them walking across a log, and here's them walking up a path, and then here's them walking down the other side of that same path. They really kind of they're mixing it up in a good way that it makes those a joy to watch, even when they're just fucking walking around. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, overall super great. So glad to have it back. Alrighty. Well then, unless you guys had anything you wanted to add, real quick, I say we can move on. There is certainly plenty of other shows to talk about, both expectedly good and hyped, and maybe also a few surprises along the way.
I guess I would be remiss to not mention the Frieren's effects on the real world with that Winter Storm Fern that rolled through.
Yeah, yep. In fact, the season 2 dub has been delayed as a result of Fern, literally.
That's so crazy.
That's perfect.
Nice. But yeah, we can move on now. That's all I wanted.
All right. Excellent. Well, let's move on to, I don't know if this is probably the second like biggest hype show, I would imagine, in the community, and that is of course the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen: The Culling Game Part 1.
Yes.
Kestrel, it's pretty artsy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some, I was not expecting the artsy shit. I was very pleasantly surprised seeing the amount of creativity put into some of these shots, especially in, I guess it would be episode 1 and then the Maki episode in particular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not even talking about the Quentin Tarantino stuff.
Right, not just the Kill Bill scene.
Yeah, not just the Kill Bill stuff, but in general. But I wanted to get your take on that in particular because, yeah, I don't know what the manga looks like because I've never read it, but I definitely wasn't expecting what this show has looked like so far.
Yeah, I'm sure Brandon has read it, so I'm interested to hear what he has to say, but I also have not read any of the manga, and the more I watch the anime, the more I kind of have no interest in doing so, because it really seems like they're just adding so much like creative, cinematic, directorial input to the aesthetic and the presentation that just would not work in any other medium, which is exactly what I want to see in an adaptation.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because the anime itself has evolved its visual style so much, where the first season kind of had like that very like staple mid-aughts mappa look of just like a, very thick lines by the books, like shonen adaptation look, and then I feel like as we moved into Hidden Inventory and Shibuya arc, it started to get like, thinner lines, a lot more off-model kind of characters and stuff, and I feel like you said, we're bending further and further into like a more artsy territory as the show goes on, and I really am enjoying the visual direction they're going. I do think the first couple episodes of this arc reminded me a lot of the first flashback arc of the second season, visually anyways, except that portion was very bright and before everything went to shit, and now it's like very dark. But no, yeah, visually, I do agree with you, Kestrel, that it would be probably pretty tough to go to the manga at this point after what a visual feast that they have made it so far. And I think similar to the way the anime, at least for me, elevated a lot of parts. For a lot of people, the Culling Game arc isn't. I don't think it's bad. It's just it kind of feels similar to like a Hunter x Hunter arc, almost like Greed Island or something, where they have to kind of establish a lot of rules and things before it like really gets the wheels going.
Okay, did anyone pause to actually read all the rules? Because I still don't know what the rules are.
I did.
Okay.
I did pause to read all the rules, and then I paused it as well to show Emily to be like, have you ever seen this much text on a screen at once?
Yeah, and even when they tried to do that, those like jump cuts to show you like small parts of the text, like that wasn't summing it up at all. Like
no.
It was a cool way to visually represent like that third episode was like the best looking like plot dump of an episode I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I'll definitely give them credit that they tried, but part of my take on the Maki episode being the way it is I think they knew that the third episode, as far as I can remember for shonen stuff, is one of the worst exposition dumps I've ever experienced.
Well, sounds like you guys are in opposite ends of that because you're kind of saying it's the best, right?
Well, I think it's one of the better representations of a exposition dump you could do, just in terms of like visually. It wasn't just like, Tengen talking for 25 minutes straight of just like, this is how the rules work.
Yeah.
They at least tried to make it watchable.
Yeah. We're in agreement. They tried their best. Right. It's just the sheer amount of info that needed to be communicated, or they felt needed to be communicated all at once, was fucking insane.
Yeah.
But at least it wasn't episode 1 of Fate Zero bad, where they just walk around.
I was just going to say, I wish they were walking around each other in circles.
That's so funny. I was going to say, the Culling Game Arc 2, I think it takes a second to get its engine going because it has to do so much preamble. And I think for a lot of people, they compare it to the Shibuya incident, which to me is like one of the greatest shonen arcs there is. I think that's easily like a top 10, if not top 5, like arc in, the action shonen genre. And it's going to be hard fought to like live up to that standard, but I think they've already shown that, they can present it in a very like dynamic new way that is very interesting. And like I said, even these episodes that are just getting the ball rolling are still very enticing. And of course the Maki episode was just like an insane treat of a fight. So
I was gonna say, I think the engine is started now after
it is. It's one of those things where for me the Culling Game took a while reading, but watching it, I'm already like way more excited for this arc than I imagined I could be.
I'm sure, the pacing helps with, you have 24 minutes instead of 20 pages at most. They released the first 2 episodes together, so we got into it fairly quickly.
Yeah, and this is maybe a little bit of a spicy take, but I think a lot of people had issues with the official translations for JJK when like through the Shonen Jump like weekly, people were like, why is it being worded this way? And like there was a lot of talk about like whoever the translator or the whoever was doing the prose for it was just like, I mean, I can imagine it's a tough job when you're just plot dumping and like explaining rules, but
have you ever listened to a line in Jujutsu Kaisen? It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, so I think at least the anime is making it a little easier to comprehend how the game works. Once it gets going, like you said, like having to pause the screen to read those rules, not gonna help you too much. Just kind of like let it roll.
Okay. That was the one moment where I was like, well, I guess this worked better in manga when you just had a page of text that you could read at your own leisure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's one of those things that, like, the game also, as you can kind of put together, it has rules in it to kind of make the players have to fuck with the rules. So the game is going to consistently change as it goes. So yeah, there's no real point in trying to understand it yet.
Honestly, that mindset, the last thing you just said, Bran, hasn't increased my enjoyment of JJK in general. I don't even attempt to just like understand anything about it anymore.
Exactly.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, that really is a microcosm for the entire series. Yeah, it has always been, here's a bunch of complicated bullshit. Let's break those rules immediately.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like the mangaka for this must be one of those like lore hounds, like type that like loves hearing about every piece of minutia about like a universe of a game they're playing, and then that's when they created JJK. They're like, now I want to do that to the nth degree. And man, I don't fucking get a single thing about how some of these powers work. Cursed energy, inverse cursed energy, like all that. I'm like, whatever. Good guys are just hopefully gonna beat up the bad guys. Domains expansions. Jesus.
It'll look real cool.
The real truth about
kill 1,000 of her family members. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. The real truth about the author is that he's like, I just want to like watch Love Live all day. I'm just gonna write some shonen battle slop for the audience and then call it a day.
Love Live
some shonen slop for the meatheads.
Yeah, exactly. Something to sink their teeth into for a week.
I mean, Togashi and Dragon Quest make sense, but I love that Akutami is Love Live and Miura, rest in peace, was what was it, like Idolmaster?
Yeah, it was Idolmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny because right now there is a JJK like sequel spin-off in Jump where Akutami just gets to write it and let someone else do the art. So, yeah, that's been interesting. But anyways, the getting back to the actual airing show, I think I don't know, is this also listed for a full like 24 again? Or
let me see. It is 12, which is, I guess, explains why.
Okay, because it is part 1. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So, what are you guys' take on the Maki episode?
I think it's very funny that Japanese audiences were. People say Japanese audiences weren't a big fan of it, and then when you dig a little deeper, it's because the Zenin clan head guy was like very popular in the character popularity polls. So it's just like funny to me that like seeing their favorite boy get his face punched in made them mad.
Yeah, no, I thought it was spectacularly executed. I don't know how effective it was in the manga, but as a 24-minute film, avant-garde shonen film, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm glad they kind of made it a standalone episode. I think there was no better way to just like represent like what Maki did there. It was really fucking sick. And
I also go ahead.
I was just gonna say the very clear, Kill Bill scene was just like chef's kiss.
Yeah. What I was going to say is the fact that this came out like a few weeks after the nationwide release of Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. Very appropriate.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I was meaning to do before we recorded some research on exactly like what the Japanese audience had a problem with, because I had seen some subreddit threads and reports were anything ranging from, well, they treated Maki's revenge like a fun, cool time, and the manga has it more tragic, which I can kind of agree with, but then others were just like, I didn't like it because the music choice was weird, or as Bran put, the favorite boy got his face completely caved in. And then the other thing I was trying to figure out, and I didn't have enough time to do this, is like, is this really a Japanese audience thing, or is this like 3 people on X with like 100
very well could be
followers
that.
apiece?
Right.
Yeah.
And they just got micro famous for this like hot take for a little while, and now people are just treating them as a monolith for the entire Japanese JJK audience.
Very well could be the truth.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I wouldn't even call a problem in so much of just an observation, is that for what she did, it was super treated. Like they put like poppy jazz music in some of the scenes, and obviously the Quentin Tarantino Kill Bill like cool fight stuff. Like it looked really good, but it was definitely she's killing her entire family and all this stuff, and it should be bittersweet, but it's mostly just like, look how badass this fucking shit is.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
But then again, I don't really
music...
know if it was supposed to be tragic. 'Cause like I said, I'm not a manga reader, so I was just taking their word for it. But I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it is just because like the like what has to happen with Mai, but at the same time, the whole like just destroy it all thing, and then her doing just that. I mean, what else did people want them to be playing? Like some really like sad, like was it supposed to be like The Crow, and they're like they're blasting The Cure during that fight? Like no, it's like something that gets the energy pumping. It kind of felt like similar to a Tarantino homage, where they've got like it's like jazzy and even like bluesy, because it's got like the harmonica. It almost felt like a bebop fight scene where it's just like chaotic, bluesy, and just like like they're having fun with it, because it's kind of giving exploitation film like ultra gore and all of that. I don't think taking it too seriously would have like made the scene any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if anything, what I would have wanted a little bit is, and you got this a little bit in the end, like a taste, but as weird as this is going to sound, like maybe it's a few slightly more like intimate killings that are more maybe like horror based, because what she's doing is horrific at the end of the day. But so many of the people in this family are one step away from just being like faceless goons by the end. That they're just being killed in like a split second, except when she got to her mom, and there was a little bit more of a breath, a beat to kind of realize what was going on. So maybe something a little more along those lines. Hell, I don't know, taking more time for her to kill her dad rather than the split second it took to chop his head off would have been kind of nice to kick things off. But
yeah, I feel that, but at the same time, I think it is pretty apt to portray it in the fact that like Maki was always kind of like thrown to the side and seen as like useless, nobody, powerless, and then her just like overwhelmingly destroying the whole Zenin clan is like the statement. And the fact that I love that they do the little blurb at the end where the news of the Zenin clan being like totally wiped out, and then the other like of the 3 big families are like, the other 2 big families basically are like, yeah, well, we don't need them anymore. Now it's just the 2 families.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
They just get dumped.
They're just a footnote in a headline now.
Right.
Well, considering the family is what by that point, 2 people.
Yeah.
So not so much a family as just a duo. But yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the overall vibe I got was like, this is trying to be Tarantino and it's doing a very good job at it. And all of those complaints are complaints that people could have for Tarantino movies, but once you get into that kind of mindset, that's the appeal. So it worked for me.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you can complain ad infinitum about like what something could be. Like, but if we judge it for like what it was pretty fucking badass.
Exactly.
So
it was the perfect version of what it was trying to be. Maybe you didn't like what it was trying to be, but it did it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like to think that they're, like I said earlier, the very well animated, highly kinetic, enjoyable action of that following episode was like, hey, congrats guys, you did it. You made it through the previous episode. You're here.
I also like how... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to mention very briefly that I appreciate that the last 2 episodes, respectively, made a very direct Kill Bill reference followed by a very direct Fight Club reference.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, something I'm looking forward to is they do add a lot of interesting characters this season, and I really like, I think his name's Hakari, the guy in the newest episode, and then one of them that I didn't remember from the manga, them mentioning so early, the like failed comedian guy in the first or second episode. It's a very small stint of him, but put your investments in now because he's gonna have some like awesome moments later.
Yeah, I was thinking that when he was introduced, I'm like, this guy has to have like something crazy happen because he's thrust into this game and he's just got fucking nothing in his life right now. He's not like a monk who's trained in martial arts and now is just imbued with powers, or like we're not talking like a falling down situation where he's just an angry salary man. He's down on his luck comedian who's basically at the end of his career and has fucking nothing.
Yeah.
So what they do with that is going to be really interesting. Or I was assuming and hoping, at least.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
I hope he has like some type of domain expansion where he just forces his enemies to watch like a Tim and Eric episode for infinity.
Oh man.
I will say, he's not one of the clan killed by Maki. He dies first, but rest in peace, now Bito, old man, talking about how evil motion interpolation is. I've never...
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Pour one out.
Alrighty, well, those are the two real big ones, I think. But I want to try to switch gears a little bit and also get Mark involved a little bit. I know that he was excited to talk about this show in particular, especially with how we are watching it together at this point. So I want to hear, Mark, what your thoughts are on Journal with Witch, another shonen slop classic.
Opposite of shonen slop classic. Yes. No, this one was one that slipped under the radar for me. Like I did not pay a single second of attention to it coming into the season. And I just read something small about it after the first episode, and I was like, oh, what the hell, why not? I'll give it a shot. And it honestly, it just floored me. And it just seems to keep getting better every week. And and part of it is, and I know I've said this before about some of the other stuff that I tend to really, really like, is that it's just kind of not normal fare for for anime. You don't see the quiet drama very often. And what is building here, between Makio and Asa, I think is really interesting. It's sort of weirdly, because in particular Makio is so emotionally withdrawn from everything, and yet that's part of the fascination with her. And going into having the two of them trying to get comfortable with one another, and Makio, honestly, to this point, she's been sort of weirdly poignant, but at the same time, very like standoffish at the same time. and and so it was both oddly comforting and dismissive at the same time. It's just been really, really interesting, and a just an absolute complete change of pace from shonen slop. What do you think?
I discovered the show in a very similar fashion, in that the only thing that I really pay attention to anymore on the anime subreddit in particular is when they release a chart every once in a while of the most popular shows of a particular season. And after, I think it was the second episode, so the second week, this show was up where Frieren and JJK were. I was like, well, that's very weird. I wasn't expecting that. So then I also saw a screenshot of it, and I really like the designs of the characters. I know we talked about it in the chat a little bit, so I figured I'd give it a shot, and I've been really enjoying it so far. I do not believe it's doing anything particularly fantastic, in terms of creativity. This is a very well-trodden narrative path of person becoming a parental figure who is barely able to take care of themselves after niece or friend dies, friend dies or family member dies, and they have to take care of the kid. It's been done over and over and over again, but I think it just executes a lot of those things really well. And I agree with you on Makio, where I'm enjoying her being as kind of straightforward with Asa, in terms of I don't know if I could love you, but I'll make sure that, I'll take care of you. And if you ever are sad, we can talk about it, and all this other stuff, very upfront with those things. And I'm still trying to sort of decipher if that comes from a place of, and it could be both here, but if it's coming from a place of compassion for her, or just that is how she communicates. Everything is, I'm just going to say what I need to say in as few words as possible to communicate what I'm trying to tell you, and then we'll move on. And it's refreshing in that way, where she's just if you're sad, talk. Let's eat dinner, things like that. And it's very interesting, because you're so used to, especially given the context of the situation with this whole death and everything, there aren't very many big outbursts of emotion, even though the two of them are so different, which I'm used to being how that goes, which is Asa has a big dramatic outburst and fights with Makio, and then they make up, and then Makio does something and says something regrettable in a emotional state, and then the cycle continues, and until they grow together through those. And that really hasn't been the case, except once or twice in very well timed moments. So I like its grounded state. I also and I was thinking about this on the drive home from work after the last episode in particular. Maybe Kestrel, I think you're watching it too.
Yeah.
If either of you could maybe throw your 2 cents in on this. But I like that Makio feels like a true personification of what an introverted person is.
Yeah.
In that, I think the internet, and this is because the internet is the internet, overblows constantly what an introverted person is, which is they want to be left alone and reclusive and hate people and yada yada yada. And Makio is so much more of a pure expression of that I enjoy. She has friends, she does things, but she also needs to recharge by being alone, and that's also a thing that Asa's presence makes difficult and stressful. But it isn't Makio is miserable 24/7, 365 because there's one person in the apartment.
Right.
So
I was gonna say I would 100% agree with that. And I think she, obviously there's still more that we have to learn about her Clearly, obviously, she did not have a good relationship with her sister, and that's kind of driving a lot of, a lot of this, and whether it's because of that relationship with her sister or whatever, yeah, she doesn't emote very well, which is part of this dryness. But she is a writer, she's a novelist, and you've got to be in touch with those sorts of things. So that's what enables her, I think, to be able to talk with us at least on a theoretical level.
Mhm.
And and it starts from the very beginning when she says, you don't have to feel ashamed for how you feel, because Asa, has just lost both of her parents, and she's just kind of sitting there numb and doesn't really know how to react to anything. And she's just like, you don't have to feel ashamed for how you feel, and don't let anybody, you'll feel something when you're ready to feel something. um and so she clearly has an academic knowledge of this stuff, even if she doesn't know um how to do it herself. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right,
No,
if
that's
that's the right phrase.
that's a good
But you know what I
observation.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think that comes out in in her introvertedness, and as you said, a really good, I think, realistic portrayal of it. And that is, and we see that, how often it's like it almost feels like they're about to have a breakthrough, and then she's like, I can't, like, I gotta go recharge, right? I like,
Mhm.
there's food in the refrigerator, and she goes and starts tapping away on her laptop or whatever. So anyway, Kestrel, I think I cut you off a minute ago. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement about definitely the portrayal of her as an introvert, and how, going back to Bochi the Rock that I was talking about before, that's a depiction of extreme social anxiety, and that uh, is somewhat played for laughs. I think the anime adaptation makes it a lot more empathetic than it would have been otherwise. But the two are not necessarily always linked together. You can
Right.
be an introvert without having crippling social anxiety. So I don't think Bochi the Rock is a bad representation of that dynamic, but this is a very different one, and we don't see it explored very often. That, especially a full-grown adult can be introverted like this and can be very uncomfortable with suddenly becoming a parent of a 15-year-old out of nowhere. So yeah, I appreciate everything about that and their dynamic, how kind of subtle and subdued the drama is. It feels very earned. There's no melodrama really happening. Makio's bluntness is kind of a refreshing change of pace from the usual anime misunderstanding tropes, where there's absolutely no ambiguity. And like you said, she's not very good at being communicative, because that's just not a strength that she's had, even with her friendships that have lasted decades of her life. But because she can imagine, the world through the lens of storytelling, she can empathize, at least on the level that an author needs to empathize, right? Even if that's a weird way to be a guardian of another person. But their respective personalities work well enough. And the fact that they both had complicated relationships with this woman who is now suddenly dead, it's very difficult for both of them to really face their feelings and come to terms with how they view this person now, especially since it is the binding force between the two of them that brought them together. And they have different but both complicated perspectives on the woman. So yeah, all of those dynamics are very subtle in the way that it just approaches grief and is, it's not trying to have big moments every episode. It's mostly content with being quiet, realistic, just kind of going through life as you would do in that scenario and sometimes there are, things that really upset you in life, but for the most part, you're just kind of trying to work through it, and it's a very good character study, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I really like one of the things that I really like as a symbolic thing is the journal as well. Because I think it very much typifies their relationship, right? Is that so Makio gives her this, she has a notebook she's not using, she gives it to her and she's like, hey, here's a journal. I find it helps sometimes, write whatever you want to in it. This is your own personal thing, and it doesn't really matter. And so Asa does, writes in it or draws in it or whatever, and she leaves it open all the time. And Makio is like, you can't leave this open. If you leave it open, I'm going to read it, and these are your private thoughts. And Asa's like, well, I don't care if you read it. And Makio is just, I don't. What the hell is wrong with you? Like, what do you mean you don't care if I read it? These are supposed to be your private things, and I feel like that's just a perfect encapsulation of the fact that they are sharing this weird grief. They're sharing this weird situation, and yet they're kind of talking past each other still, while they are trying to find common ground.
I think it's also a really good representation of how similar they are, because in a sense, Makio is also someone who doesn't know how to talk to people, but knows how to express her feelings in writing. And we're seeing exactly that with Asa, that she doesn't know how to talk to Makio about what she's feeling, but she can write it down for herself and then leave it open and say, oh, it's okay if you read it.
Yeah. Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. But I like that.
Yeah, I also like that Makio is just like, if you don't close it, I will be tempted to read it. And in the back of my head, I was like, you could always just close it too.
Right.
if you really cared, you could just close it, and that's fine. You don't have to be tempted by it. Yeah, the journal is interesting, especially when the first thing she did was doodle.
Yeah,
inside of it. I also like, because Kestrel, you mentioned earlier that, and I touched on it briefly, that there aren't big emotional moments every episode, but I do really like the one that they picked, which was when Asa goes back to school.
Right.
To basically have what had happened in her life, shoved in her face in a public forum. And how that is kind of what ushered in a big crashing down moment. And it's just like a really great, in my mind, encapsulation of teenage life at that point, which is, if I go to school, nobody has to know what happened to me, and I can just tell them that I was on a vacation or I got sick, and everything will be normal, at least for a little bit, because I'll be around my friends and I'll be in a place, even if it's graduation, where it will feel normal. And she's robbed of it, and I think she even says, this was the last thing I had left, which was to graduate normally. And then her poor friend Emery fucks that up, which
she didn't
sucks.
mean
to. Yeah, she didn't mean to. She meant all the best, but accidentally fucked it up, which led to a very emotional phone call and a bonding moment between the two of them. So that had a really nice payoff. But I like that they chose that to be where she has Asa has a real emotional response, rather than maybe fighting Makio or just kind of having a small breakdown on the couch in the apartment. It was very much sometimes life just does this, and you're forced to deal with these highly emotional situations in a setting where you can't be comfortable with it, and it can sometimes lead to breakthroughs in how you handle those things. It led to Asa realizing how much she cherishes Emery's friendship. Makio tells her about the stuff that she went through, and even though it was very traumatizing at first, it can for better or for worse, move the gears forward when it comes to processing that. I also like that as far as it goes, it was an emotional outburst, but really all she did was kick a small trash can.
Yeah.
So it isn't like we had a Orson Welles like Citizen Kane situation where she destroys an entire room. But yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes and pieces of it, was going to school, and as maybe mean as it makes me sound, having her kind of be forced to be in that environment and then finally have some type of emotional release, even if it's negative, because at least I personally think that kind of stuff can be cathartic in the end, depending on how the aftermath is handled, which this show handled as well as you could, in my opinion. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think and that had the effect of opening Asa up, really, right? Because she has this emotional outburst in this moment. She tells her friend to go to hell. Everything's sort of crashing down, and it kind of faces her to confront all of this. And then we get to the next episode, and she seems quite a bit better put together. She goes to high school, and she does kind of feels like she messes up on the first day a little bit, but she's at least putting herself out there. And of course, she and Emery are back together again. But it does ultimately lead to that breakdown on the couch, right? Because Emery comes back to the place, and Asa falls asleep on the couch, so Emery leaves. And when Asa wakes up, she finally opens up for real to Makio a little bit, and puts Makio on the spot. Because Makio just kind of wants to be like, okay, well, you do your thing. And is sort of forced to be like, okay, I have to be a little more comforting than this. So
yeah. Indeed. I like to that the thing you mentioned with the high school is also another use of, I think, more so than the journal for me. I love the desert metaphor that they fall back on, about being alone and wandering through the desert, and how it can happen so suddenly. She's with friends, she mentions something to try to connect with them, and then quickly realizes that simply out of acts that are of no fault of her own, she now exists in like a totally separate universe to them.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But yeah.
Yeah, the fact that the whole thing happened in her graduation was definitely very necessary, because of how closed off both her and Makio are, and how much they want to not talk about anything. And yeah, the fact that she has been so stoic and seemingly unmoved by the fact that both of her parents suddenly died in front of her. It's the fact that she is now being labeled as the person whose parents died, where she could have just been the Asa that everyone knew in middle school for the past 3 years, and at the last moment, now all they're going to associate her with is that, and that's what really kills her, especially feeling betrayed by her friend, and having that breakdown was the catharsis she needed to open up and finally really face her grief, even if her reason for thinking she was upset wasn't exactly the cause of the grief. It's what she needed to finally face her emotions in one way or another. And now we're seeing subtle more developments in that direction, with both Makio and Asa finding ways that they need to address their feelings about their mother/sister and her death and their relationship. And then the fact that her first day of high school, in the next episode, she tries to make her dead parents her thing immediately. Right after it being the worst thing in the world, if anyone at school knew that. So yeah, definitely a lot of development in very subtle ways.
Yeah, because Lord knows what would have happened, because Makio, if I recall, was considering it. if Makio would have had to be the one to kind of sort of usher in that emotional release, given her relationship to her sister and the mom, who knows what could have happened if they just sat down and been like, all right, we're gonna have it out right here. Like, that could have been disastrous, because Makio is in no way going to be sympathetic towards her sister. She bristles at the very thought. So Asa having this sort of public experience with her emotions and trauma will hopefully be for the better in the long run. Because also, if let's say she goes to graduation, everyone's cool and she's fine, she goes back to living her life, it's like, what is she going to do then? Just bottle it up forever?
Right, exactly.
Until,
She needed some release.
Until it gets released in a very negative fashion for no reason towards someone or something, years down the line or whatever, or it just leaves you bittered for years.
Yeah. As you've said, one, she needed the release. Two, it's kind of the best case scenario that she would have it at a school that she'll never go back to. And three, it made her, like you said, really value her friendship and realize how important it is. She, like you said, if she had that big necessary release as a result of something that Makio did or said, then that could risk damaging their relationship since it's so new. Whereas with Emily, she knows that she's had this relationship with her for so long, and Makio is there to remind her that, they could still be best friends in 20 years, so to not throw it away. So, worked out very well.
Well, and I think as well, the other part of it's not just that she didn't have the emotional outburst because of Makio. I think it was important as well that it happens away from Makio, right? Because she's heading out to graduation, and Makio's like, are you sure you don't want me to go? And Asa's like, no, it's fine. And she gets there, and when people find out that she's there by herself, they're like, your aunt couldn't come with you, like that's so weird. Like, what's wrong with her, sort of thing. But you think back to when they first met at the funeral, and Makio ultimately takes Asa in because everybody else is just kind of being shitty to Asa, and treating her, doing that false politeness sort of thing, but sort of treating her like a burden. And Makio is finally like, you know what? Everybody here sucks. You're going to come live with me. And it's
This
just
sushi's dry.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. And so what does Makio do? How does Makio respond if she does go to graduation and Asa gets there and basically the same thing happens?
Right.
Everybody knows that Asa is now the girl with the dead parents, and they're treating her with kid gloves and treating her kind of with side eyes and whatnot, and she's clearly not dealing with it well. Well, then what does Makio do that's now going to make it worse? That's not going to enable her to have her outburst and therefore be able to begin to process things and move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very excited to see where this show goes with their relationship and how it grows, and then they both tackle their unique, as Kestrel put it, sort of relationships with mom and sister, because obviously they've both been quite impacted emotionally, but in different ways. Makio more negatively, and Asa still kind of yet to be seen, but a telling instance of it was like, I don't even remember what my favorite foods were as a kid or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So almost like a parent who is there physically but not like emotionally,
right,
in some ways.
They had a brief moment there where she says something about her mom that makes Makio be like, oh, what? That's not a good parent.
Oh, the whole like something about being useless or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't.
And she just like brushes it off, like, oh, that's just a normal thing that my mom would say to me.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that's dug into as we move along. But,
so what we're potentially seeing then is in her own weird emotionally withdrawn way, perhaps Makio is going to be a better mother to Asa than her actual mother.
Of course.
I'm sure that's where we're headed.
Yeah. And the fact that they both have some shared trauma from the same person will help them, realize how to not be that person.
Right. So, great series so far.
Indeed. Is this based off a manga or a light novel or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a manga,
Yeah. It's manga.
Oh, cool.
Ran. It's the manga's over, but it ran for I think like 6 years.
That's pretty good, I think.
Also, music by Kensuke Ushio always hits.
Hey, there he is. Still pumping him out.
Yep.
Okay, well, we got time to cover a little bit more here. So the next one we got on the list is one that I'm not super familiar with, but I just like the title, which is why I put it on the list. And that is You and I Are Polar Opposites. So I'm assuming this is going to be a rom-com.
Yes. I
Boom.
love this show so much.
Well, take it away.
I guess I can start. Yeah. I haven't read any of the manga of this one, but this is kind of your classic idiots in love kind of show. Suzuki and Tani are just really dumb about relationships work, but they're very honest about all of it, which is great. I was in. It was funny. The very first episode, it did not start well for me. Suzuki is very kind of spastic, and very energetic, and it was really rubbing me the wrong way. And then the moment we met him, I did a complete 180 on the whole thing because, well, as the title suggests, he's the polar opposite of her. And all of a sudden, I love the way that they work together. And absolute strength of the show, the fact that they begin dating in the very first episode. There is basically no chase here, which is really nice. Like they just jump right into it. And again, it sort of goes back to that honesty thing where they're both really kind of stupid about it, that they almost kind of accidentally fall into dating, even though they're obviously both clearly interested in it, but they're so ass backwards about the whole thing that it works. And they're just so fun, so lovable, and so stupid. And I have loved it. After the first 5 minutes or so, I've loved every single second of this series so far.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate how quickly it got things underway. They both immediately established that they like each other, that they realize the other one likes them, and start their relationship. And that's what we get to experience for the rest of it. Yeah. Their dynamic is very fun. The opposites, it's kind of like almost like my dress up darling kind of dynamic in a way, in that it's like, okay, here's the super popular girl who you would think would never glance at this kind of nobody quiet guy, but actually she's totally in love with him. But of course they date immediately and they're idiots, like you mentioned. So yeah, it's a different kind of dynamic than what we usually get, I think. Just in the fact that we're immediately jumping into a relationship there. And there's, in the latest episode, I think, like, there was the other kid in class who was like, am I the only one who finds this weird? Like, everyone else is just accepting it. Am I just that shallow that I'm so hung up on status and hierarchy and classes. And I thought that was an interesting character development of this character that we probably won't care that much about after that episode. But yeah, it's an interesting thing in that environment to explore of like the people who really place value in classism of the social hierarchy versus the people who you would think care about it a lot, but really just follow their hearts and accept their polar opposite as their, love interest, as their crush. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they the guy who and I don't remember his name, but the person, as you said, that we met in this last episode, who's it is interesting how everybody up to this point until we met him just accepted it.
Yeah.
Right. Like there was no like, wow, really, Tani? Why Tani? Or anything like that. It's like, you go, girl. Like they were immediately on board. And like, you get this done and whatnot. And then, yeah, this basically this entire last episode was this guy being like, this is bizarre. Like, she's pretty, she's popular, she's all
He's a
this.
10.
And yeah. And he's just kind of there. What's going on here? And it is just him wrestling with his conscious, the whole time being like, am I the one are we the baddie? Am I the baddie here?
Right.
And it's just in there. I keep calling them idiots because that's pretty much how I think of them. But it's that idiocy is very endearing because of, again, the fact that they don't judge each other, that they just kind of go for it, and they're not afraid to screw up. Because if they do, they're just like, whoops.
Yeah. The fact that they're both so dumb and so bad at it makes it work. Because if that was unbalanced, like they're polar opposites in every other way, but the fact that they both have no idea what they're doing, they're just like, oh yeah, sure, this is dating, right?
Yeah, right. So it's definitely one of the highlights of my week. I look forward to watching that every week because it's just so much fun.
Ready. Well, let's see. Now we're kind of hitting the fun dartboard section of the show. So, is there anything that any of you guys want to talk about that you're watching in particular? We kind of hit the big ones that we've all shared, except for Hell's Paradise for the most part, since I've only watched the first episode and am very confused. So we can touch on that if you want, but I don't know if there's anything that we haven't covered that any of you are particularly passionate about, or at least want to have a little chat for.
I definitely want to talk with you and whoever else jumps on board, hopefully other people do, about Love Through Prism eventually. That was a Netflix drop all 20 episodes at once show, so I've seen all of it, you've seen half of it, other people haven't seen any, and frankly, I don't think they marketed it for 1 second.
No.
So, yeah, I don't think anyone is aware of it for the most part.
Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, so I'll just, as a little primer, it is a 20-episode original anime, very good original anime. It's a historical romantic drama directed by Kazuto Nakazawa, who was character design for Samurai Champloo and a few other small Watanabe works. He also directed the anime sequences of Kill Bill and the Linkin Park music video that was anime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's the big one.
That's the big one, yeah. It's just
I'm listening.
He's done the weird American anime stuff. but yeah, so it's directed by him with studio, and it's a series that again is completely original. It's created by the creator of Hanayori Dango, Boys Over Flowers, and it's it's one of those series that it benefits from being a streaming show in that it can be a weird number of episodes and they can be weird lengths. However, they need to be structured to tell the story it's trying to tell. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it for right now, but I hope to talk about it with some of you guys in a later episode.
Yeah, cool.
The images for it are giving Anne Shirley a little bit.
Yeah, see that aesthetically. I mean, it is. That's right. Anne Shirley is Canada, isn't this? This is England.
Yeah, Anne Shirley is Prince Edward Island. So
yeah, but yeah, it's England, early 20th century. Can imagine where the history goes with that in some ways, but yeah, very good, very underappreciated.
Yeah. We've been liking it a lot as well. It's definitely a bit of a slow burn for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
even at a 20 episode mark, but as Kestrel said, the episode lengths are weird too. You'll have like 22 or 24 minutes, and then here's one that's 40 minutes.
40, yeah.
Which is interesting. I can't say I've experienced that super frequently when it comes to those types of things. But yeah, we've been liking it. It's also really interesting watching it with Emily because Emily knows this history, which doesn't happen super frequently. So it doesn't sour the experience. It's just funny when she's like, yeah, these people wouldn't be hanging out together. Yeah, this there'd be a lot. There needs to be more racism.
Right.
There needs to be a lot more racism.
I can see that.
One of the characters is Indian, and it's like, yeah, they're still colonized at this point, so there'd be a lot of tension between Peter and most people here.
It's a pretty idealized England in that sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's the Thames is clean, so that's biggin.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check this one out.
Yeah, I think it is definitely one that I get a good sense of what each of you guys like at this point, and it's one of those ones where I'm like, I bet no one's watching this because Netflix just dropped all 20 episodes without saying a word about it. But I feel like everyone on the podcast will enjoy it.
Netflix is mishandling an anime?
I know, right? Never.
I'm very confused by this. I think you need to explain yourself, sir.
To be fair, it's better that at least it got a worldwide simultaneous release rather than here's episodes weekly 20 or 2 months later.
Right.
So yeah, you got that. Anyway.
Yeah, we definitely found it just scrolling through, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and all these people are adults. So, and it's in a time period that doesn't have many anime in it. So that was kind of it to at least get me onto the first couple episodes with Emily, and then it's gotten good from there.
As we always say, we're always excited for a good original anime.
Yes.
Yeah. That is faux show. All right.
We should probably let Kate talk at some point in this episode.
No, I don't gotta talk.
Okay, let's not let Kate.
I'll save words about the shows I'm watching till next week because I haven't watched the latest episode of Holy Grail of Eris, and I saw people talking about how they were like, I can't keep track of all these characters. I'm like, yes, here we go. Here's the problem I thought the show was going to run into, but I need to watch it. So when we get a couple more episodes in, I'll be able to extrapolate on why trying to crush 3 volumes of a light novel into 12 episodes is a bad idea.
Holy shit.
So yeah, look forward to that next time we talk about this season.
And maybe by then you'll also have watched more Sentenced to be a Hero?
Yeah, probably. I'll probably get around to that by then.
I gotta say, Sentenced to be a Hero, weirdest to be hero series I've seen so far. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting this pivot.
Yeah.
I like the idea, like the first thing I thought of Kate, when you said that they're throwing 3 light novels in 12 episodes, I'm like, so it's the exact opposite of the War of the Rohirrim, where they took 3 sentences and turned it into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
God.
That's all Lord of the Rings stuff is anymore. Like, let's find this one sentence that Tolkien wrote and make 10 seasons out of it.
Yeah.
Like, please don't. Just stop. Stop with the Lord of the Rings spin-offs.
Make that money.
Yeah, you gotta fucking stacks,
Is it making
baby.
money though?
I'm making as much as it cost.
No. Yeah, the only other thing I'm watching that was on my list is Hanakimi. And well, obviously To Your Eternity, I'm still reviewing that, but Hanakimi is a pretty good adaptation of a kind of very old manga at this point. But yeah.
How old is old?
Started in 96, ended in 2000 and I don't know, early 2000s.
Oh, interesting. Does it
Yeah.
use the same aesthetic? Because everything looked way different back then than it does now.
Yeah, it's pretty. The character designs are pretty point on. They're a little pointy.
Nice.
I mean, it wasn't the pointiest manga in existence at the time. So it's aged better than a lot of stuff from that time period has. But yeah, it looks like shoujo from that time frame roughly. I was really concerned about how the character dynamics, because a lot of that stuff was not going to age well. I mean, the whole plot is girl stalks guy so much that she decides to move from America to Japan and disguise herself as a boy to enlist in the all-boys school that he attends.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're off to a good start where you were the ultimate stalker. And so of course she's trying to disguise herself as a boy and immediately, like within in the first episode gets found out by number 1, the school nurse, who is a flamboyantly gay man, and
probably not a very respectful way.
Yeah.
No, actually, he's actually kind of he's actually kind of laid back, at least until like third episode, where he randomly like dresses up in like a bikini for no reason to try to cheer up the lead for no reason. But he's for the most part he's just walking around being like, he's not hating on any of the students or anything. He's just there. He becomes like the confidant like in the staff, like and of course the object of the stalking finds out almost instantly that Mizuki is a girl, because they get stuck as roommates. So like her best case scenario is also kind of her worst case scenario, because now she's like living with the guy she's basically stalked all the way to Japan. And
well, that's just natural. Of course that happens.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. And of course they end up in compromising situations almost immediately.
What?
No way. And then there's the good friend who's like, but I'm not gay, but why am I attracted to you? Yeah, so there's a lot of like weird stuff that doesn't really fly anymore. At least he's not being like, at least it's not like, but I'm not gay. You know, he's not like oh gross about it. He's just very confused. And I can't remember how disrespectful he was I haven't read the source material in a long time. I have it backed up somewhere. But he's just more like confused, at least in this adaptation. Like he doesn't understand why he's suddenly into this one guy. So yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one to adapt now. It is kind of funny though, because they moved the time frame of the show up to modern day, so everybody has smartphones now. So the letter writing that Mizuki used to do with her best friend back in America has just turned into like FaceTime. So, but yeah, it's cross-dressing hijinks ensue, and weird stalking, which nobody wants to address.
But if it's funny, it's not stalking. That's the
if it's a girl doing it, it's not stalking. So
Right.
you know,
that's what I always tell my students. It's tone matters, because your average romantic comedy with a slightly different soundtrack becomes a stalker movie. So
mm-hmm.
That's true. You take some of those songs out and you put some like Morrissey in there, and we've got trouble.
Forgot you were a writing teacher. I feel like that helps your appreciation of Journal with Witch even more.
Oh yeah, very much so. We writers are really good about writing writers. You know, because it is the most noble of occupations. Clearly,
of course.
Write what you know, which is we like to hide in the corner and not talk to people.
Alrighty. Anything else you guys wanted to chat about off your respective lists? If not, we can kick it on over to any recommendations and such and tie it up for the evening.
I don't necessarily need to talk about it, but I just do want to, and maybe this is going to be part of my recommendations, who knows, but I do want to bring up a show that I'm following this season. Kaya-chan Isn't Scary, which is one of the most confusing shows I have ever seen in a good way. Because it is the best way I can describe it is, what if Junji Ito wrote a children's television show? And that you kind of end up with Kaya-chan Isn't Scary. Basically, the premise is she's 5 years old, she's in kindergarten, and she's basically the world's greatest psychic. And so she just sees demons and spirits everywhere. And so she's always trying to protect her classmates, protect her teachers, protect her family from all these evil spirits that are around, but nobody can see what she's seeing, so they think she's just acting out. And it is 100% a children's television show in structure, in tone, in everything. All of the demon designs look like Junji Ito drew them.
Wow.
So take that for what you will.
Sounds neat.
It is a really cool show, but I watch it every week and I walk away from it and I go, I don't know what I'm feeling at the moment. So, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Junji Ito part has my interest peaked, just to see what the characters would look like and how that feels in a non-Junji Ito environment.
Yeah, right. Well, all of the characters are very cutesy. It's just the evil that is not.
Alrighty. Anyone else?
Watch Frieren.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to say that.
That's the recommendation from the podcast as a whole.
I feel like I'll probably want to talk about...
I fully concur with Watch Frieren. Definitely.
I'll probably want to talk about Fate Strange Fake later. I feel like it's still in that like first couple episodes of Fate mode where like all the players still need to gather, sort of. So, but first time I've been like pretty hyped for a Fate in a long while.
Same.
I probably should have like rewatched the like episode 0 like extended episode, because I definitely like went into the first episode like, oh man, this is like kicking off right where it left off, and I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's like 2 years later, and episode 1 of the series completely requires you having seen this TV special from 2 years prior.
Yeah, I was a fool to even watch it. I should have maybe waited for the show to show up. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good one. And I mean, it's set in America, so like, there's going to be some bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it had In-N-Out Burger in the first episode. What more could you ask for?
Oh, damn.
Did it actually have In-N-Out
was
Burger?
it called?
Or is it called?
I was going to say
It was Inside Out Burger.
Oh, that's
There we go.
excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That adds a lot of weird connotations to the restaurant. The Inside Out Burger.
I'll also mention that. So only 4 episodes have aired as of us recording this. The 5th will air tomorrow. But those 4 episodes I've already seen, or I had already seen before they aired, because they showed them in Alamo Drafthouse, specifically movie theaters around the country. December maybe. But Alamo Drafthouse serves food, and they had a special Fate Strange Fake menu for this screening. And it included the Inside Out Burger. So I may have paid $20 for a double-double. They may have gone down the street to In-N-Out and grabbed a double-double, and I paid them $20 for it. But it was worth it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious. Amazing. I love it. I love dumb shit like that.
I'm obviously not going to watch it, but I'm going to need a report on all fucked up American things that are going to be in this.
I mean, they do a really good job at capturing how fucking dirty the streets of LA are. Spot on.
Excellent. I hope they go to Philly and get assaulted.
There's already been a lot of gun violence, so
yes.
I want them to go to Boston and just have a bunch of dudes like just screaming obscenities at each other, and then someone spiking a dunks off of somebody's car or something.
Oh, hell yeah.
Eventually, all of your series will get Fate spinoffs, or all of your cities will get Fate spinoffs.
Yes.
Instead of Pat and Gino's, it's like Dan and Bono's cheesesteak sandwiches. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, let's move on over to recommendations if anybody has any for this particular episode. If anyone has any, please volunteer. If not, I know Kestrel always has at least one.
Sure.
In the chamber.
Watch Frieren.
There it is.
There it is.
Yep.
There it
Deja
is.
vu, huh?
Yeah. So, I'll just say that we talked about you and I are polar opposites on Tuesday as we were recording this. February 3rd, Viz will be releasing the final volume of the manga of that. So the manga is completely available over here. So if you're enjoying the anime, go read the manga.
Nice. Brand, anything from your front?
Not really. I guess it had been a while since I picked up anything physical, but I was at Kinokuniya recently, and those Planetes Deluxe editions are real nice, and I have since added them to my collection. So I would recommend those. Those are fabulous looking. Also the Mushishi hardcover. I've never read Mushishi, but like the new hardcover is really beautiful, and Kinokuniya gives you like a little like insert graphic that's kind of cool. So
little shikishi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
I'm psyched that's back in print now and people can actually freaking read that again.
I'll have to rob Kate's house.
They I think they dumped the whole first season of Mushishi up on YouTube.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Kodansha, yeah.
Yeah, that's random. Dub and sub. So it's all up. You could watch the whole first season. It had a great dub.
Yep.
Which the second season never got, and that probably should be rectified.
Yeah, because the second season is Aniplex, and they won't let anyone take it, and they won't release it themselves. And they've never even made the movie legally available.
Which movie? There was a movie?
Yeah, exactly.
The
finale of the series was a movie that was never officially available in English.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Huh.
Uh-huh.
Don't watch the live action movie, that's real bad.
Oh, yeah,
and my cat is throwing shit upstairs in my room. Great, cool. my recommendation, real quick, so I can go scream at my cat, is a video game. Kern? How do you pronounce
Kern?
those? Kern? That came out. I started playing that. That's a really good climbing game. It's kind of difficult, but in a good way. Performance is a little spotty, but most of the time you're looking at a rock face, so it doesn't really matter. But I just finally got to the title card of the game, so I'm pretty pleased so far. I don't know where the story is going to go, but it's like kind of takes climbing kind of seriously, but not very, because the main character in that game is going to climb the world's most deadly mountain, and I don't think she's going to end up with like oxygen tanks and shit by the end of it. I think it's just going to be her climbing a rock face with a robot, and yeah. But anyway, cool game. Also, Neo 3 is out next week.
Is the protagonist of that game named Alexis Honnold?
What?
Alex Honnold? The guy who free soloed El Capitan and then just free soloed a giant skyscraper in Taiwan a few days ago?
No, but that would probably no. Unfortunately, no.
And apparently Netflix paid him like $5.
Oh my God.
What? No, he said an embarrassing amount of money, which means like $1 million.
Oh, I thought he meant the opposite, where he's like, they paid me barely anything, because they said I would have done it for free. And I was like, okay, well, luckily, you know.
Yeah,
I interpreted embarrassing amount as a lot.
Yeah. No, good for him. He didn't die. Yeah, playing that game has led me down a rabbit hole where I was like, I want to look up some of this terminology that people use in climb. And it was like 27 pages of terminology. I'm like, oh, niche hobbies. I forgot. You don't actually want to try to figure out like what people are talking about at any given moment. So
Kate's gonna host our climbing podcast next week.
Yeah,
there we go.
Well, I also picked up Volume 1 of The Climber, so maybe I'll join you with this hobby endeavor.
I also want to check out that manga.
I've played the game Jusant, which is also climbing. So.
Yeah, this is even more realistic than that. Jusant is very, very more narrative driven. This is like, look at this rock face, figure out your route. You know, here's some bidons. You will be camping on side of this mountain. You have a stamina.
I'm more of a peak guy, but this one does look fun too.
Yeah, we got it covered. I'm sure we'd sound like experts.
A lot of climbing games lately.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for my recommendation, I'm gonna recommend people watch Love Through a Prism, because someone's got to market this fucking thing.
Damn.
It's gonna be us, because they are not doing it themselves.
Damn.
It is not worth the dump in the recycling bin that Netflix has given it, essentially.
Pay this man, Netflix.
It's better. It needs love. Just like the characters in the show desperately need love. But yeah, alrighty. Cool. Well then, how about Kestrel, let everyone know where they can find you and where they can find us, and then we'll go around the horn and call it a night.
You can find us wherever you find podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, and the rest, fandompost.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review on whatever podcast service you use. Please follow us on whatever social media you use. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky at Fandom Post Radio.
Why are you
Share
still on
our
Twitter?
stuff.
Get off of there. Nobody's even on there anymore. It's all bots.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anyway, we're there. Find our stuff, share it, whatever. Get in contact with us. You can also contact us via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. And you can find me on Twitter at FullMetalAkioma, and on Blue Sky at kestrelswift.bisky.social. And you can find me on the Fandom Post reviewing Frieren every week.
Wow. You can find me at Hellshake Brando, and I'm right here on the podcast as of right now. So yeah.
Mark, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky at MD Thomas, and on Fandom Post, where this season I am weekly reviewing Wash It All Away and Tamon's B-side.
And then last but not least, Mama Kate.
You can find me at Blue Sky at Sonic Bug and on fandompost.com, where I am reviewing reviewing To Your Eternity. I'm still behind. I need to catch up. And The Holy Grail of Eris this season.
Excellent. And as always, I am right here and right here only. So thanks everyone as usual for listening. I hope you're all enjoying this season. There's certainly plenty of good anime, both hyped and hiding just a little bit under a rock for you to dig out and enjoy. So please take the time and find something that you can snuggle up with, especially if you live anywhere in the fucking Northeast. So plenty of time to watch anime because you cannot do anything outside.
Besides freestyle.
Watch the fern inside, not the fern outside.
Very true. All right. Thank you. And be safe out there. Enjoy the new season.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.